Hi, I'm Scott Morris, and welcome to Classical Guitar Complete. This is part of a video series I've been doing on my book, Classical Guitar Complete from Basics to Bach, Volume 1. I'm here at Guitar Salon International in Santa Monica, California today. And the topic I'm going to be focusing on is actually keeping a steady pulse, keeping a steady tempo when you're playing. Not that you always want to, but it's a good exercise to be able to if you need to, rather than just rushing wildly. And I wrote a little piece in my book. It's on page 61, and it's called Speed Trap. And the idea behind this piece is it's rather slow, mostly just quarter notes, and then there's a little bit here, if you're looking at it on page 61, measure 9, where you have quarter notes, move to eighth notes, and then into 16th notes with a crescendo. And the speed trap part of it is you're going to be tempted to rush. You're going to be tempted to really speed up there rather than keeping a steady tempo. And then right back into those quarter notes, which are going to seem too slow when you're playing it, but that's, again, part of the speed trap. So you're being baited into having really bad rhythm here with this piece. So I'm going to play the piece first, and then we'll come back and I'll just give you a couple of little things to think about, which I think will help you keep more steady time in your music. Okay, so let's just take a look at a couple little spots here. One is it's again, it's a slow tempo, it's a slow piece on purpose. It kind of feels like it wants to go faster than it is. That's also part of the trap. So you got to keep that nice and slow. And I guess the theme of this is going to be subdividing. So we're going to talk about how to subdivide the beat, and that's really the secret to keeping a steady tempo. Now you may be wondering, what about metronomes? And metronomes are fantastic, but I also recommend you subdivide with your metronome. So if you have a metronome like I do, you don't have to just put it on the beat, but you can also have it set so you can play eighth notes, so you get the downbeat click and then the upbeat click, or my favorite, and this is what I recommend for this piece, set it to 16th notes, so you're subdividing the beat by 4 clicks. Now, let me play just a little bit in the beginning here, then I'm going to get really into what subdividing really means. Okay, so here's the first few measures. Okay, so a couple things to point out. Couple things to point out. One, I'm not just thinking quarter notes when I do that. I'm actually thinking 16th notes. So in my mind, I'm going 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a. So if you're not familiar with that, this is pretty standard. Most music schools in the U.S. For downbeats, obviously you count the numbers. So this is in 3/4, so you count 1, 2, 3 for the downbeats. If you were counting eighth notes, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and. If you're going to subdivide in groups of 4, 16th notes, it's 1E and 2E and. Nice little exercise is to just see if you can go from quarter notes to eighth notes to 16th notes. For instance, on this note, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 1E and a 2E. where your 16th notes don't speed wildly out of control. One of the most common things I hear, not just students, but you know, sometimes professional guitar players, is they'll be pretty steady for the slow ones, 1 and 2 and 3 and 8th notes, no problem for most. Sometimes they speed up a little bit there, and then they get to the 16th notes, they just freak out, and then suddenly start playing really fast because they see those 16th notes there. Well, if you're subdividing already, you're already getting that 16th note pulse in your ear on those quarter notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and, then it's easy to just move straight into those 16th notes. One of the pieces in sort of the standard classical guitar repertoire that I really recommend you try this is good old Prelude Number 4 by Villalobos. You have that. So that little bit right there. I'm definitely thinking 1 E and 2 E and 3, sorry. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and so I'm really feeling that. It's almost like having a drummer going in there as you're playing, rather than just trying to feel those downbeats alone. Because it's so slow, you get impatient. Most people start to speed up, and they don't keep steady tempo that way. Well, let's focus. Go back to my piece here, Speed Trap. I know not quite as cool as Villalobos, but that's what's in the book. Sorry. So chapter 6, page 61. Measure 9, here's where it gets really tricky. We've got those quarter note C's here, so 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and then it moves into the 8th notes, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and straight into the 16ths, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and the idea is to do that with a crescendo and then back in, and this is the part that's most challenging in my opinion, is then to drop right back into those quarter notes at the end and not somehow have done some sort of metric modulation so that you're much faster on the quarter notes when you come on the other side of this little speed trap. So let me see if I can do it here. I'll back up a measure or two before, and I'll subdivide out loud so you can hear it. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and you get the idea there. So to keep nice and steady after those 16th notes and then drop right back into quarter notes, hopefully no faster than you were before you got into that little speed trap there. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful, and again, this combined with practicing with a metronome is a really good way to improve your rhythm. And I think, especially when you're playing a lot of solo guitar music, it's really easy to sometimes not know how much you're speeding up or slowing down. And I'm not talking about in musical ways. So yes, rubato and accelerados and ritardandos, rallentandos, all wonderful if you mean to do it. If you're just rushing because you're having trouble keeping steady time, then that's another issue, and you can't really say you're just being musical if you're just speeding up and you're all over the place tempo-wise. So something like this, really good thing to practice. Okay, well, thank you for your attention, and I'll see you next time.